Just a couple weeks after announcing budget cuts, Minnesota State University's Mankato president, Edward Inch, gave his opening convocation. Evan Berg has the details.
It's a moment to recognize how far we have come, set the direction for the new year, and to speak honestly about the challenges we face.
Minnesota State University Mankato has a lot to celebrate going into the new academic year. But with recent budget constraints, there are also challenges.
Having to let people go is difficult, and it's painful. And the effects have a personal impact on our colleagues, our friends, families, teams, and all the work that we do.
One of the topics of this year's convocation was the university's decision to eliminate 60 positions, laying off 17 staff members to help make up part of a $22 million deficit caused by rising operation and technology costs, and a state legislature that had limited ability to adjust appropriations.
The real question that we need to be looking at is how are we going to manage these upcoming issues? Inflation is a problem, lack of international student enrollment, that decline, those are problems, the allocation model.
Labor unions like the MSU Faculty Association have criticized the university for what it has called a top-down approach to its cuts. While the university has tried to limit the impact of cuts to each department, the union feels administrative roles weren't as impacted.
We're adding, as we speak, 4 new associate deans. So while the administration is growing, then we're cutting the student-facing programs.
Staff and student leaders say the fact that the student experience remains a priority during these adjustments means there are still things to celebrate, including an improved learning commons, course material affordability, and growing academic programs like nutrition and dietetics.
Even with money being tight, we're still finding ways to stretch that dollar, and a lot of that is helping out the students.
Especially with the future state coming out, a lot of opportunity and excitement around that, and there's a lot of things to look forward to.
In Mankato, Evan Berg, KUIC News Now.
The university president also took a moment to celebrate record fundraising for student scholarships and the upcoming campus sports and recreation facilities coming in 2029.